All right, welcome to another Both Sides podcast where we go and interview and get into the minds of some of the top 1%, not only in the real estate industry, but all industries across Australia. And today we're kind of a little bit blessed because we've got two high performers that have achieved phenomenal results, combined experience over 40 years in the real estate industry, who are actually leading the charts in terms of performance, but also sustainability. So we're very blessed to have both Eddy Piddington and David Walker today. We've had them both on the podcast previously, but today we're going to do it a little bit different and introduce our first duo podcast. So welcome to the podcast. I'm looking forward to getting a little bit deeper and there's obviously a bit of a hidden story behind today and a new chapter for you guys, which we'll delve into. So to kick it off for today, could you give us a little bit of an insight in terms of where you are and what the new exciting news is for you both?
Who's going to start?
You go, mate.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so...
Besides the perfect hair.
I need to rustle it up a little bit.
And this is like a pinstripe.
Oh, strong. Thanks, boys. This is an introduction of a lifetime. Thanks for having us. We feel blessed to be here. I suppose the new chapter is Ray White Northern Beaches, which we're both really excited about. It's my 20th year in real estate, and it's funny, I've been saying 17 for maybe the last, must be 3 or 4 years, and we only counted the other day, it is 20 years. So it's a long time, and this is a big move, and probably hopefully the final move for us as a team. So that's the big news. We can go deeper on why and all of this, but that is the big shift and something I think we're both really excited about.
Yeah, it was a long time coming. I guess the move into the beaches. We'd been speaking to Ray White Corporate about it for a while, but like with our Upper North Shore business, we always said we're only going to do it with the right people, and we've found the right people, the people that we've sort of been on the journey with. We've got a Monavale office as well, and now Manly office established. So to have people of calibre like Eddy is we're privileged to have, but we know we can do big things. We're going to do big things, and already the way you've kicked it off, mate, it's incredible and a credit to you.
Thank you.
When you say big things, what is the big vision for you guys?
Well, Ray White, it's obviously the biggest group in the country in Australasia. The Northern Beaches market's just a market that it's never really had traction in. The Upper North Shore was like that, and the Upper North Shore, Ray White never had really had traction in. There are other areas as well that have since become the groups dominated in. The beaches, for me, is attractive because of the lifestyle, because of the people. Quite selfishly, it's where I started my career, so I know the beach as well. I started in real estate down in DY back at the ripe old age of 18. So I know the beach as well. I know that market, and really with what we've done on the Upper North Shore and the people that we've got up here, the development of those people, and now the Pennant Hills to Hornsby market that's going really well as well. Those guys are kicking some huge goals. The beaches were just an opportunity that was too enticing to pass up. And as I said, once we kind of had the right people to start with, we've got the foundations in place now, and now it's all about just replicating what we've done on the Upper North Shore and helping grow and build teams and people.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's very rare to have offices expand to this level and still keep a sort of family aspect to it and a good culture. How have you guys been able to replicate that across multiple suburbs, multiple offices?
Really, it's the thing about the people, and I know it sounds cliche, but if we had just grown for the sake of growing with anybody, then it would have been difficult to keep a good culture. But by actually having to exit people from the business that weren't the right fit, didn't fit into our cultural, or into the culture that we have, which is a no dickheads policy.
No dickheads.
By exiting people from the business that just didn't fit into that, people that didn't want to buy into that and made it more about themselves than anything else, and saying goodbye to people that were writing good business because of it, we have ended up with a bunch of individuals that come together as a family that actually want the best for each other. Yeah. And now even in the expansion, we had a cocktail party the other night and everyone coming together, and as person who sort of started the business and looking back, and you kind of think that's what it is about. It's the people. We had 120 people at our house, and you stand back and look at the people there, and there's no one that thinks they're better than anyone else. Everyone wants to see other people succeed. We've got some really some people that are doing phenomenal numbers and some of the best in the industry, but they don't have tickets on themselves. And they really were excited to get somebody like Eddy into the business and learn from him. There's a lot he'll learn from them. And by getting the right people in front of the right people is what grows a culture.
How do you operate your network? Do you use different patches? So, for example, will Eddy have Manly and no one else can touch Manly? Is that how you're structuring the business?
Well, it's interesting. We've spoken a lot about it. Sometimes agents, you can have too big a patch. So we call it areas of influence. So we don't like the word patches, because an area of influence is an area that an agent really is in and trying to make a difference in and trying to get recognition in. But it doesn't mean somebody else can't sell in there. Whereas a lot of other businesses, it's sort of like, here's my fence I'm putting up around this area, and I'm not going to prospect. I'm not going to do anything, but no one else in the business can. Whereas we've got rules that you shouldn't be prospecting in somebody else's area. But if somebody else isn't doing it and you've got a contact in there, or you've listed in there, you can still do. You've just listed, just sold, but it's just if the client in the end chooses the agent, not the other way around. So if a client wants to do business with Eddy in Collaroy, then if we've got an agent that's working the Collaroy patch, that Eddy's still going to sell in Collaroy. If there's an agent from our Mona Vale office that has a property in Manly that they want to list, they can list it, but we don't recommend it. So it's just so in answer to the question, Eddy will have an area that we think's manageable and maintainable to allow him to really prospect out to, but it doesn't need to be too big. Like my area in Wahroonga is literally 2,000 houses, but it doesn't mean I just sell in Wahroonga.
No. Now, we know why you've gone beaches. Why have you gone Ray White?
It's a big call. So it's probably been on the mind to make a move over the past 12 to 24 months. And it's a huge move. We're all agents. We know what it's like, jumping ship effectively or making a change when you're with a brand and at the time a brand that's selling a lot of real estate in our area.
And you would have had a lot of offers. Everyone knows you too. So how do you make that decision?
It's a word that's thrown around a lot, but culture comes straight to mind. And everything David said's true. Like, we have multiple meetings. The Ray White group, it's funny as an outsider, and everyone here will agree, I think in the past 5 years, and I watch everything, all the groups, all the top agents, and I'm close to it and watch it intimately, but it seems as a brand, they're the only one brand that we're just going potentially from nothing through the roof. So, like, I think of Tesla 5 years ago, I didn't know him. I never heard of him, really, like, with all due respect. And now he's one of the best in the country. And then I look at, I can never say his name, Peter Diamandis. Diamandis, yeah, I can never say it. He's a car man like me. Absolute weapon. I didn't know him a few years ago. Now I look at his business, the group, the people they're growing through the roof. David, I didn't know a lot about his business, and then started looking a little bit more into it. And then, like, last week, 98 million in sales.
Guys, just for everyone listening, we had a quick conversation before we jumped on air. These guys have just had a $98 million week last week. How does that come about?
Again, a lot of agents hard at work. We're getting into the spring selling season, but no, it was a big week. So a couple of big sales in there, but it wasn't just one agent doing them all. It was a big mixture. So really good week.
Something I'm really curious about because I'm looking to grow the buyers agency nationwide eventually, and I will be recruiting people top of the game.
Yes.
I'm curious from your perspective, why at somebody who was already a name, you talk about you hadn't heard of a Josh Teston, you hadn't heard of Peter, that people have heard of you.
Yes.
Why would you, at your level of influence, go into another brand when you could have been your own brand?
As in, why didn't I do Piddington property?
Yeah.
For example.
Like, you've got the watch, you've got the suit, the tie, the hair.
That's nothing to do with it, but yeah. I think it's funny as coming out of a business where I was a partner and helping manage staff and coach and train staff, you try and analyse what we're good at and what we're potentially not good at. I think after spending time doing on that, I just love listing and selling and running my smaller team. So it's in myself, Lachlan, Jess, anyone in my immediate team, rather than running a whole office. So for me, it was never a thing of wanting to open up, having my own brand. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's an ego thing. I'm just happy listing and selling and then trying to associate and align with the best brand. It's like that old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And like, how do you compete with Ray White? Not being rude. The meetings I've had with these guys, even at head office, the technology, everything I see, I'm like, man, good luck trying to compete with that. Like, it is on a whole nother planet and only something that can complement my brand. And I'm about, well, who can complement and add to it versus needs to be all about me. It doesn't have to be about me.
I also do think it's probably one of the biggest problems with our industry is there's this misconception that if you're a really good agent, you should become a business owner. And there's a lot of people that go from agent to business owner and don't realise what it actually entails. So most agents are really good salespeople, but not necessarily good at the whole bigger picture of running a business. So what I do in terms of running a business, I've got business partners and things like that, but there's so much more to it. When I got into business 10 years ago, if I had have known what I know now, it would have been a very different decision. And I can say this openly, that when I opened the business, that was an ego play. It wasn't because I wanted people to be better.
Really?
It was because I wanted me to be better. I wanted my name up in lights. And it's the worst reason to get into ownership of a business. That had to change really, really quickly because the business didn't grow when that was the way it was. It wasn't until a light went off and I realised it wasn't about me, it was about everybody else, that things started to get really, really good. And we were able to attract the right people because it genuinely wasn't about me. Whereas too many agents get into business ownership for themselves. The people that should be getting into business ownership are the ones that genuinely want to see other people do well, not themselves. Because most agents will write more business and make a lot more money staying agents than becoming business owners. And you don't see every number one player on a football team become the coach because they're really good players. Yeah. So, and you've got to have a different skill set to become a coach.
So I'd love to ask you the question, but in reverse. How do you then go and recruit people, being the business owner, that are the top at their game already as a selling agent, and add value like you're talking about, where you're giving to them rather than just receiving?
Well, that is a really good question. Firstly, I've got to believe that I can actually add value. There's some people I can't add value to. And the funny thing, although Eddy's at the top of his game and our industry, I still think he hasn't even touched the sides of what he can do. Like, there's so much ahead of what he's going to do and take that beaches market by storm. So that's what excites me. Like, I think we're just getting started.
Yeah, and podcast round 3 will be at one of the waterfronts, don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. All I was going to add is, I think in joining David, again, he talks the truth and the track record. You know, that's what I liked in looking at not just the whole Ray White group, but definitely up on the North Shore and seeing, like Dom Maxwell, I seen him years and years ago, working as an associate, and now the team he has and the numbers he does is phenomenal. And in meeting all these guys, I had so many more meetings before joining the group. There was no egos, and these are some of the best guys in the country, absolutely. And it's funny, some of us say, I said, what's it like? I said, it's just everyone's so nice. That sounds like silly and it sounds general, but our industry is so cutthroat, you know, and what we're used to and different cultures. And it is. Everyone is so nice. Everyone is so helpful. There's this huge support here. And I finally feel for the first time in a long time when I've been within a group, we can actually like skyrocket. Like what you said, everyone always says, I'm going to 2x, 3x, 4x. And you think, well, I can write the goals and try and do it. But now I feel like, we have the support and the brand where we actually can.
What do you think it is that's giving you that feeling? Is it the fact that you're part of a group where you've got 13 agents writing over $1 million, or is it like what's changed to give you that feeling?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I mean, like I alluded to before, it's not just our group right here, it's the other Ray White groups that have done it. It all probably started with Gav years ago, you know, and Gav was in the group and it really skyrocketed, and then all the other ones. And then as you just said, Dan's spot on, there's how many agents here do over $1 million?
13?
Yeah, 13 agents. Like,
Jeez,
there's not
man.
a lot in Sydney that do over $1 million, right? And this isn't the eastern suburbs with an average sale price of $8 million. Like, the average sale price here is pretty normal in Sydney. I don't know another group that has that. And so that certainly gives us initial confidence, you know, and then if you look at how many they do consistently week in, week out, well, how can't you do it? It's like training with the best. Like my cars, I drive with people better than me, well, I'm going to get better. 100%. Or running, or whatever you're into, you go with the slower guys, will end up slower. So this feels like, you guys said we're maybe towards the top of the industry. No, I'm back down here again, and I got to push to get up with these guys.
I think half of what we do is belief as well. And you start believing when you hang around people that are doing it. If you're hanging around people that aren't doing anything, that don't have high ambition, then you probably don't believe you can do it yourself. So 80% of what we do is in our heads, 20% is skill.
Yep. Who are you hanging around then, David? Because you're obviously leading charge as, you know, one of the directors and owners. Who do you go to be inspired?
People within the group. Like the conversations I have every day, and I've got friends that are not in the group, but I've got friends who are some of the top business owners in the country. I've got people that aren't even attached to our industry who are really good in what they do. They think differently. They're never kind of satisfied with mediocre. And so it's people like that I don't really have a huge amount of time for. But, you know, I've got the people around me who always want the best for me, whether that's family, friends, but then people within our group as well. They know the way that I think, the way I act, and I think they all just want to be better than what they were yesterday. And so, like, hang around even with Eddy for the last few months that we've become close. You just see the type of person that I get inspired by.
Energy.
Has he got you in a supercar on the track yet? Or?
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's next.
We'll get there.
There's one thing I'll beat you at.
Yeah.
just grab a vomit bag. Question. I'm working with a couple of guys at the moment that are sitting on the fence about making a move to our business. Now, if you were to give some advice to these guys, they're not on the best splits. They know they want to make the move. They're not sure when to make the move. It's obviously a little bit difficult being the fact that it's towards the end of the year, they're coming into spring. Is it something where you'd look to try to just make the move and do it earlier and do it now? Or is it something where you'd be strategic and do it over the New Year break?
Yeah.
Only because I just did it. I think yesterday's the best time. Once you've strategically done your research and made the decision, I think mentally as agents, we can switch off, we can tune out, think, go through this headspace. Yeah. So I think almost yesterday is the best time. I mean, like, you're spot on, coming into spring, they might list and sell another 30, but it's all with the wrong, not the wrong brand, but the previous brand. So for me, it would be just to get on and do it. You know, like, they can get established with the new brand between now and Christmas. They can start listing clients for next year. So I if it was me and it took us time and I did all my research, but once we were ready, we did it. Strategically, it fell through winter, which not much happens in Manly. So that was fortunate and slightly strategic as well. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's like a relationship or anything. If you've made the decision to step out, well, you know, you're out.
Yeah. Now, there's another couple, these are all selfish questions for myself, I'll be honest. So there's another couple of people I'm chasing as well. They are associates. They're on good pay packets, way more than what would usually be paid. Now, obviously that wouldn't be offered. They'll still get good pay packets, but the pay packets that they're getting are just silly. What would you say to them if they're only going to be an associate for the next year or two, knowing full well that the training that they'd get at our office would be completely different?
I reckon we can both answer, but you go first. I know what I'm going to say.
Look, I've always been of the belief, because I've been a sales agent before I was a business owner. There are some businesses you couldn't pay me the best salary in our industry to go and work in those businesses, because you've got to show up there every day. And it's like any job, and it's like compromising your values. Would you compromise your values for a dollar amount? And if the answer is yes, you'd have to have a hard look at yourself. So if you're working in a business you don't want to work in, or you know there's a better business out there that isn't going to pay you the same amount of money, I would look at where your career is going to develop the most, because it's a splits question. We don't pay the highest splits in our area, but our agents get the most value and are putting themselves in a position to write the most amount of money, because you could get paid 100% splits, but if you're in a bad business with bad values or bad culture, or doesn't have the right set up to allow you to grow your business, then 100% of nothing is nothing. So it all comes down to where and life is short, so you've got to be where you want to be, and you've got to be around the people you want to be around, because, and it's sort of back to the question before, is when is the right time? Once you've made the decision that you're not in the right relationship, it eats away at you, and it's actually, it kind of will mess with your mind to stay in something you don't want to stay in. So I think ultimately you couldn't pay any sort of dollar amounts to be in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well said. Very well said.
How would you respond, Eddie?
Look, very, very similar. I think I'd be focusing on, let's stop looking at the now. What's the position look like in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and like, where's their other associates at? Like, it's very much, it's like reversing back to when people leave school. You know, they can come and join real estate and make next to nothing for 3-4 years, and then after that 3-4 years make more money than most industries. I'd be getting in their head around that. You know, Kev, like right now they might be making another 30 grand or 50 grand on what you'd pay them, but where they're going to be in 5 years. They might make another 700 grand working with your business and with your coaching and mentorship. So I'd be trying to get in their head from that perspective, and then giving examples. Like, oh, this associate, when he joined us, David and I went through some of that, and Bridget at head office, this associate joined then, 2 years did that, year 4 did that, and this guy did that, that. And just trying to get them, where are you guys? Like, you know, that's what I would do.
Love it. Now, question for both of you. You've both been in the industry for a long time, but you've both been very consistent for a long time. How have you been able to keep the consistency at such a high level without breaking down? Because you see people, they'll do well for a few years, then they'll disappear. You guys have stayed. How?
You go first.
It's just not overthinking things. I think the problem with most people that do well is they forget to keep doing the simple stuff, putting one foot in front of the other, but also get ahead of themselves. So for me, I think what I've done successfully is actually just got the right people on my bus, which are the people that will be supportive but know what they're doing, but I've empowered them to do it the way they want to do it as well. So I've got an amazing team around me, in my own personal team, who I think in a lot of aspects better than me at a lot of things. So by doing that, it just means that I owe them to work hard and to do the things we've got to do. But I think unfortunately a lot of people get attracted to the glitz and glamour of thinking they're better than what they are, and putting out to the universe, look at how good I am, and so they lose focus of what actually got them to where they are. So by not losing focus of that, and also not actually ever believing that you're where you want to be, is the best way to keep you hungry, but also to keep you grounded, because once you think you're there, that's the surefire way to
I've got a really interesting question to add to that. We often hear people talk about embodying being number one, kind of fake it before you make it, to adopt that psychology and structure. What's your take on that?
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever bought into it. I think to clients, you have to sometimes make out that if you're kind of a junior in your career, you've got to be confident, but a lot of it's fake confidence. I think for me, I actually believed that I was the best person for the job when I was in those early stages, because the people I was competing against that were long in the industry, they kind of given up, and you could see that. So so I actually did believe that I was the best, whereas a lot of people go in and don't think they're going to get the business, just think this fake confidence is going to get them through. Ultimately, if you can get down to that, if you actually truly deep down believe in what you're doing, and you believe in your skill set and your ability, and know that you're going to give the client the best service, then you'll be able to convince people of that. If you don't believe it because you know that you're not that good, and you know that you were hungover last night, and you know you're not going to call buyers to get them to an open house, and you know you're not going to do things, it's going to be really hard to convince people of that day in, day out. So I still, to this day, believe that I'm the best person for the job when I'm sitting in front of an agent. I still believe that if I'm sitting in front of somebody like Eddy a few months ago, I believe that I can actually genuinely do everything in my power to help him become the best agent, best person that he can possibly be. I actually believe that with all of my being. So, and because of that, I think it's easier to get that across.
Well, you did that for me a few years ago with a coffee.
And then, so Eddie, from your perspective, where does the sustainability come from on your side of the fence?
To reverse it, just answering the second question, I think that confidence is like you said, where does the confidence come from in the fake it till you make it?
Well, you were listing multi-mil houses when you were young, though, to Manly too, right?
Yeah.
And waterfronts.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
How old were you when you were doing that?
It was funny, actually. We were looking at my Lachlan, my associate, and we were looking at my GCI graph, and it goes back to year one. And it's really interesting in year one, my average fee was 2.75%.
2.75%?
Which he's like... I won't say what he said, but he's like, is there a mistake in this?
That was in the 1970s.
Yeah, it was like 1986. But he couldn't believe it, and it was this amazing, like, I got most of them. Like, first year I only did 12 deals or something, but 10 of the 12. Oh, I don't know. It must be 10 years. So I've been in it 20 years, but selling 10.
You're in your 20s. You have the confidence to go into big waterfronts. How does that?
So that was just coming back to it. The confidence, I was about to say the word confidence / knowledge. You know, John McGrath said to me when I was young, he got me up to speak at a conference because I'd done something good in that business at the time. But he said he really believes if you're good enough, you're old enough. And that really hit home to me. And I think that coming in with it's not fake it till you make it, but as Dave said, if you come in with the absolute best knowledge and know, like he said, we're not coming in hungover. We'll work harder than any of our competition, and we actually know the market better, the buyers better. Like, yeah, we effing deserve it. You know, that's not faking it, mate, till I make it. That's only because we're training, we're studying psychology around negotiation, studying buyer behaviours. We are better. You know, and we will work harder. That's our thing in here. I don't know if we're better because that sounds arrogant, but we'll work harder. I don't think anyone works as hard in our market as that. So I think getting the higher end ones, which we still get, you know, like when we maybe shouldn't get them over competitors, probably because we go in with more knowledge, you know, because we haven't just rolled up expecting the business. We've gone in with more knowledge, with a higher level of work ethic, better follow-up because we care about the business, and then we'll get it. So that was answering the knowledge piece. The question before that was?
More sustainability without...
Sustainability. So I think I met with Ivan today, who's my coach, Ivan Bresic, and we were talking about...
The great.
Yeah, the great, the GOAT.
Mr. Six-pack.
Yeah, 8-pack, I think. Don't tell him 6, he'll be offended. So Ivan and I were talking about... And this probably came from years ago, me training a lot with Dr. Fred Gross.
Yep.
And Fred's very much about balance, sustainability and things. And I remember the first time I was one of those agents as a younger agent where I was hustling 6-7 days a week, every effing week, first in, last out. I remember Jess said to me, because she used to work with me, like, you can't, she's like, it was so annoying, Eddie, you couldn't even talk to you. Because I was just like, you want to talk? Like, F off. And I was just dialing. Like, that was where I was at. And then Fred trying to push me a bit the other way, you know, about like, well, let's not miss out on life, you know, which is a big eye-opener and things. And I remember the first 4-week holiday I took, you know, like the whole Europe thing, which agents doing that in winter. And it was me shifting from maybe having like half a day off, having a meltdown, you know, with anxiety about I should be in the office doing something, to then putting my head around having a 4-week holiday. It's just like, it's like, that'd be like saying to you, oh, you should take the next 6 months off and the business will be right. Like, it probably would be for you. But most people, it would be like a meltdown. Like, this is not possible. But I did it. And I remember that year we made more than the year before. And that was my first eye-opening moment to like sustainability. So, I was there for a lot less of the time, but we did better numbers because I was more more recharged to create sustainability. So today, in today's world, like, coming back to Ivan, sorry, I'm taking this on so many journeys, but the chat with Ivan today was around goals, and we said we'll go, I think it was around 15 to 20% growth. It's not crazy, it's not 2x, but my thing was...
next year?
Yeah, how can I have this much growth and work less?
Nice.
So this mentality, and the funny thing is when I go into that mentality, when I'm there, I'm doing the actual things that count, because there's guys in our office, in every office, that are there 6 days a week, they don't do anything. Not being rude.
It's every office.
So it's more, the more time out, the more I'm dialed and I'm on, and when I'm there, I'm fucking really there.
Why 15%? Why not 30?
15 was a number that came up. We looked at what Lachlan can increase in our team and what I can do, and it was very conservative numbers today. You can hear I'm sick at the moment. I got the flu. So we came in, talk about sustainability. I almost effed it up. We joined David's team. I I think it's about 10 days ago, and we've listed 15 in that time, which in our area is a lot. Not throughout Sydney because people do high volume. And we launched a lot, then I got the flu, which is showing that I'm not being sustainable, right? There was no rest and we're really pushing now. So it was just an eye-opener and a wake-up call for me to breathe, relax, more meditation and things like that to be sustainable. So that was a long answer to your question.
Mate, it sounds like a trip. It sounds like a trip to Europe is the key.
Well, yeah, it is. Like in multiple things, it gave me rest and recharge. It put me into debt, which means I worked harder when I was there to pay for the trip. And you live some good experiences when you're there, right?
Now, coming back to that piece where you said, yep, you'll have a drink and you're not on your best performance. You know, some of the guys will do well for a period, we'll be locked in, then we'll have a drink, we'll fall off, and then we'll go back in. How do you keep it consistent where you can just stay dialed in? Because I know a lot of these younger guys will go in and out of these phases. How do you guys keep it consistent?
I'm not an all or nothing type of person. It's consistency, so I'm certainly not a robot. I don't get up at 4 a.m. every day and, have like this robotic, and I've got 2 kids, beautiful wife, like that. So I don't think you can kind of just have this robotic kind of existence. But I'm not the sort of person that will get there and go, I'm going to go 4 months and not have a drink and do these sorts of things. So you've got to live life and have fun, but you've got to do it with balance. And so you can go one way or you can go the other. Whereas if you're just consistent down the line, and if you can kind of go, okay, we're going to go out and, I Saturday night, the Swannies won, and we went out and watched the game with friends, with family, and we had a great night. And I was feeling a little bit tired the next morning, but it was what a great experience, what a great win. So it's all about balance.
Would you do that if you were coming up and you didn't have the runs on the board yet, and you're still trying to push through? You haven't cracked it yet. If it was a Saturday night and
just
Saturday night,
my favourite team are in a final and they win, then sure I would push the envelope a little bit. But a game in a couple of weeks' time's a Friday night, and I've got 4 auctions scheduled on the Saturday, I'm going to rein it in. It's all about making decisions that are actually going to get you where you want to get to.
When did you, at what point would you say you dialed it in, not going out, both of you? Like in terms of not going out partying on Friday nights and what have you, and took it more serious?
I think when I met my wife and got married, I think life changed a lot because your values change. So, and so now if I'm going out, we'll go out for a nice dinner somewhere, and it's just, like the idea of partying to me isn't fun at all. But going out, having a really nice dinner, having a nice bottle of wine is heaven. It's fun. Yeah. But everyone's different, and everyone's at different ages and stages, and I'm never going to be the person to get there and go, you shouldn't do this or you should, because what's the old saying? Change a man against his will. He's of the same opinion still. So if somebody doesn't want to change and somebody doesn't want to rein in their partying, there's nothing that anyone can say or do that's going to get them to stop. Yeah. It's finding out. It's when the negative of doing it impedes on your ability to achieve a goal that you want so much that you'll actually stop. But if the goal isn't that important to you, whether that's health, whether that's business, if that goal means everything to you, then you'll stop and you'll do everything you need to do to get that goal. And that sometimes might take a life event. Sometimes it might just take a light bulb going off. It might take marriage. It might take kids. It might take whatever it is. Sometimes somebody just wakes up at the age of 19 and goes, you know what, I'm going to make this an amazing life. Like for me, it was literally walking in Central Park before we had kids, and I was married and I was a salesperson, and I was walking through the park, and I still remember it, and it still gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And I walked through Central Park with Claude, and we were looking up at the buildings, and I just remember going, we are so insignificant. We literally are nobody in the world. This park will be here in 150 years' time. These buildings will be standing. I'll be in the ground, and my life could either mean something or mean nothing. And I remember thinking, no, I'm going to go hard here. Like I got one crack at it. I'm not going to leave anything on the table, and I'm going to be the best that I can possibly be. And that was the moment I was like, we're on here. And from then on, we've been on.
How old were you at that point?
25.
25.
Get me goosebumps.
Yeah, same.
Sorry, no, it was 28.
It's good
Sorry,
on.
no, it was 28, not 25.
Wow.
Yeah, 28.
What about you, Eddie? What was your light bulb moment? Tipping point? Was there one?
Yeah, definitely. I think it revolves mostly around making my mum proud, which is still today is what I do. That's I'm very close to my mum, and I seen her last night. I see her most days, and that's
You close with your dad?
I was. He died the day before I started school.
Sorry
and
to hear
that. That's all right. It's all good. So,
How old were you then?
Well, everyone always asks me, so I don't even know. The day before I started school, whatever
Like
that is.
primary school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a lot older than my mum.
My dad died when I was 7 as well.
Oh, it must be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we need to talk about that off air.
There you go.
Yeah, so mum and I are like best friends, right? Still now, and I want to make her proud, and that's probably always been the driver. But it's also that combination too, like David just said, having a goal. If the goal's strong enough, like I haven't talked about the non-party stuff, but like it'd be like, someone said it to me in the past, I don't need to say who, but they run like sprint sessions. So they're the opposite. They're the full, like, when I'm here, I'm absolutely here and I'm not drinking. I'm up at 4, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then I'll go to Europe and I'll send it for a month. And then I'll come back and I'll do it all again. That's not me, but it's someone else. but I find that inspiring, and I find nothing kind of wrong with that, because they're here and they're on, they're doing the work. For me right now, I'm balanced. I'm like Dave, we're probably elderly compared to some of you guys. We're too old. We're not going to give you the party stories. But it is like we go out to dinner, have drinks, come home. It's like sustainable, It's not massive. It's not on a Friday before Saturday opens. But I think I find that I'm better if I do that each Saturday, have something to look forward to than a lot of my friends. And I've tried it, do nothing and then have a blowout. Which doesn't end as well. So I think it's just sustainability and balance, is the key there.
Can I ask you a bit deeper on this?
Yes.
Has your driver changed since you've gotten older, or is it still back from when you were younger? Your driver. What made you?
Charles that drives you everywhere?
Not your.
No, I'm joking.
What's that?
I'm just joking.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Anyway, I didn't get that. My driver. Is that
Your motivation. I was talking about motivation. He's a literal driver.
No, he meant a driver. Yeah, he's out the front. I got to go to that.
Okay,
I don't know. Like, if I look at what drives me right now, I want to do well with Dave. Like, he looks after me, I look after him. It's a two-way street. I don't want to let anyone down. I want to do well around my family, which my family's like Mum and Jess and my dog and like Lachlan. Like, he's my associate. I don't want to let him down. I don't want to come in hungover. And like that's probably the driver. I like winning, that's the car thing. It's the real estate thing. I like to win and at least have a good crack at it. And then I like the better things in life, not to be whatever the word I was going to use, but that's why we do the job. Like it's a challenging job, right? It's not easy and it's fine and we push hard and we can make a lot. But I do think too, like you got to be using it on things you enjoy. Some people it's investing in property and that's fine. Other people it's traveling, buying toys. It's like just that balance. So I think it's...
Yours are Porsches.
No. But I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the main driver. I'm very goal driven, set the goals, want to hit the goals, and then just balance. When I'm here, I have that mentality. Like if we got to come in the office 10 hours a day, you can either do nothing or do something. I often say to Lachlan, it's like the gym. You can rock up each day and do nothing and nothing changes. You go each day with the right plan and give it a push. Well, 3 months down the track, something's going to shift.
Viewer question. David, what was your pitch to entice Eddie to move?
I wouldn't say it was a pitch.
No.
It was the relationship. Like we formed a relationship. It's kind of sounds weird, but it's a little bit like dating. Like when we first caught up, it was sort of feeling each other out because I was feeling him out to see whether he was going to be a good part of the culture. Yeah. I'm sure you were feeling me out to see if who I was as a person, what my values were, and as I said earlier, I was actually thinking, is there something that I can add to this guy's life? Like, is there something that we can do here? So I don't necessarily think it was a pitch. I don't even think we really got down to talk comm splits or anything like that. It was more just working out, like he wanted to kind of know what our vision was for the beaches, wanted to know a lot about the business, and then so we just talked about
Just
where we
natural.
can add value, and from there it just sort of
Organic.
it just
Yeah.
became what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Cool. Another viewer question for David. What were some of the things you focused on when you first became a director?
Well, first couple of years, as I said, it was all about me, and it just shouldn't have been. So, when the business started building, it became all about other people. How can I get them to be writing more business? How can I help them start believing in themselves more? How can I add to their lives? Like, what can I do to help with their deficiencies? What can I do to help them build their team? It was all about them, and it wasn't about me, and it wasn't trying to get any gratification out of what I was doing. A lot of business owners...
I've never seen you post an award.
Yeah, like it's not about what
Yeah.
it's not about what I do. I get gratification out of seeing everyone in the business do really well. So that was it was the moment that I started feeling good about myself, was when I could see other people doing well, and that was
That's awesome.
finally when the business started growing and people started wanting to join, and yeah.
Do you have any advice for other business owners to help instill that belief in their team?
So I heard a good saying that I think resonated more with me than any other saying that I've heard before. That's good leaders build followers, great leaders build leaders.
Great leaders build other leaders.
Yeah, and that to me, so within our own, where that, I guess, reflectively within our own business, I think if I can help our people develop their teams and create leaders, rather than most salespeople want to just go, come and join my team and have their followers, have people that they might call their soldiers or whatever the word is. But it's not until you actually realize the people that are working for you, they're putting in their heart and souls, you've got to help them develop as people as well. And so if you can, and so my job is to help create leaders within my salespeople and within, the people within the business. If they can then emulate that and create their teams and build leaders within their teams, that's when they'll do really well. Because the hardest thing about being a good salesperson is leading a team. It's not listing and selling, it's leading a team and keeping a team motivated. So if you can learn how to create leaders and not create followers, you'll have a really successful career.
Definitely.
What's the reverse on the selling side, Eddie, that makes a top sales agent?
I think staying in their lanes and just focusing on the work that counts. It's a bit like the gym. There's certain tasks you can do and get the right outcome. So I would think it's having good people around you, not getting distracted, staying consistent. I know us, when we go through our ebbs and flows, we'll consistently prospect. Like, we join the company, we list 15, we launch 15. There's no prospecting this week. I'm trying to sell them, which is not smart. That's where
We were talking about last week.
Yeah, we'll get all this, and then, hang on, my listings are low now, I've got a list, and then we go back up, versus the best of them, Alex and the others, just continue.
Don't feel too bad for him. He looks at the water when he calls.
Yeah. But basically, I think because they've got a better team around them, or a bigger team, a better team to do everything else, and they can just focus on listing. Basically, it's keeping the key focus on prospecting and listing.
What do you think will hold you back from writing 10 mil GCI?
Probably the want. I don't need to write that. I don't want to write that. Sorry. We'll triple, but we're not going to 10.
Why is that the case, though?
Well, I think I know what it would take to write 10. I'm close with Alex, and I know how he works, and he inspires me every day, and I see what it takes, to be at that level. And I just don't have a mental vision or a need to earn that much kind of money and have that much instilled. It takes huge time and effort and stress. I'm more about balance, my vision's more about how can I earn a bit more and work a bit less.
You
Not
put
how can
those
I
hours
3x
in.
or 5x.
You put those hours in when you were younger anyway.
Yeah, I did it, man. That's not in my headspace at the moment.
A viewer question for you, Eddie.
Yeah.
How do you balance traveling, taking time off work, and also staying at the top?
I think part of it, I do a fair bit of travel. People must watch that. And I think
Favorite country?
What's that?
Favorite country?
South of France.
South of France.
Yeah, the best. In my eyes.
Because you do Europe every year.
Yep.
But you also still are at the top of the game every single year.
Yep.
How?
Well, I think part of the travel is what keeps me at the top to start. Some people can rest here and that, and it's being on a different time zone helps with not working, because otherwise we're here, we're emailing and working. So I think the time out gives me better time in the game, if you were to look at it like that. And it's just being strategic about when. Like we go away a fair bit, but I'm not going away now in spring. Jess wants to right now, actually, but I'm like, no, we're on it. We're committed and we're pushing now to Christmas, because we've had our good break in June, July.
Yeah.
I think people effort up where they don't do June, July. I've had my colleagues at a past business where they say, oh no, we're staying on, we're going to smash it through June and July, and we're good, and agents will go away, we'll list and sell heaps, and they'll do like 2 deals. And I'm like, man, you've been here and stressed and flogging yourself to do 2. We might miss 1 or 2, and then we'll come back and be so dialed and charged from then till Christmas, when actually people want to list and sell, then we'll do another 30. Yeah. So I think it's just being strategic about when I do it. And then there's a good team, like Lockie's on ground. We're not all going to vanish, and there's no team ESP on ground to do something. And then just advising clients. Like, we give the clients the best advice and say, well, why would you go on in the middle of winter? School holidays, people are away, it's end of financial year. Like, if you want to sell, we've got one chance, let's do it right, and this is when we would do it.
Question for you, David. If you had a good performer wanting to join your office but wants to also list and sell in your core area, would that happen?
In my core market?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got agents already listing and selling in the core market.
Not in your core suburb.
Yeah. And like I want people to do well within our business, so we've got that as it happens now. So
there's not. So for example, you can have 5 agents, all prospect one suburb.
Yeah, like Wahroonga, which is when we started the business, that was my suburb. I think we've got now 5 agents working the Wahroonga market.
Do you think it works better doing that? Because there's obviously 2 ways to do it, right? So we've seen a Josh Tesla model, we've seen an Alex Jordan model where you can see that they've put one name, and that's what drives all the call-ins. But we've also seen other models where at Manor, at Borkham Hills, we've had 4 big agents all writing $2, $3, $4 million in one suburb. But that also helps because every second listing is Manor. What do you think is a better way, having one person in one suburb dominating or having multiple people in one suburb?
It can work both ways. So there's that's where not one size fits all.
Yeah.
You've got agents who are the lone wolf agents who just want to do the whole suburb, the whole thing. But I think it'd be a lonely existence personally. Like you're not there with anyone to celebrate the wins or pick you up when you've had have a bad day. I enjoy coming to work not for the listing or selling side as much as I love that, but it's the people hanging around, the people, the phone calls, the how you going, how'd you go with this, how did that open go. What's happened with this vendor, and it's the calls that you get that guess what just happened, this is the best thing that just happened, or I can't believe I just lost this listing, what could have you done better? And everyone's got each other's back, so it's a friendship that you develop with all the people within the business, and even down to like the associates, the admin team, like you've got different relationships in the business, but in answer to the question, if you're just one agent trying to do the whole suburb or 2 or 3 suburbs, personally, that wouldn't be enjoyable for me. Yes, you've got access to more homes to prospect, but I also think you've got to also work out what your specialty is and be really, really good at it, rather than going, I'm going to try and sell every unit, every house, every high-end listing. Like, that would just do my head in.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, cool.
I think if I put my business owner's hat on, then I'd be thinking similar to David, where the more, and if this person has an off month or this person goes away, well, we've still got 3 other strong agents. If that person was to leave, well, Manor's been there, and Manor, everyone knows Manor, versus putting all the eggs in one basket, one person, then I think there's higher risk in that if they got sick or they go away or they want to move areas or change companies, and that vanishes. Versus having 4 in there, if one goes, well, the other 3 are still in there hustling, and Manor, as you mentioned it, has the strong brand and following.
So, I've seen you work with Dom, and you've helped him grow immensely. Now, you've got Lockie. He's obviously coming into his own now.
Yep.
How have you guys structured your associates so they're transitioning to become successful agents? Because Lockie looks like he's on the same path as Dom.
Yep.
How have you guys been able to do that? Because it's very rare for associates to become and cut through.
I think you've done it better than me. You tell them first and I'll tell you what I do with Locke.
Dom came to us as an agent, so he was an associate in another business. Came to us as an agent with a team, but he's built some incredible agents within his team that were associates. So I think we've got 3 people at the moment who are associates in his team that have become agents, maybe even 4. So he's done a brilliant job of it, and is a really good leader himself, in able to get people doing the right numbers and having the belief to become an agent. So I think the thing is, and Ed and I chatted about this just before, if you've got a clear career progression for an associate, they'll stick with you. If they know where they're going with their careers, and they know there's a path for them to get to where they want to get to, then they're going to work hard and give you loyalty. If you're an agent that's got an associate that you don't want to leave, and you sort of almost have that mentality of, I don't want to tell them that they could potentially be an agent one day because they might want to become an agent tomorrow, then they're probably going to leave you anyway. So you need to, like, you've got to look at it from your own point of view. Like if I was 18 as somebody's associate, or 22 or 21 or whatever it was, and I had the ambition one day to become an agent, if I didn't think the person I was working for was ever going to help me harness that ambition, then I would start thinking, am I in the right spot? Whereas the agents that do it really well and actually keep people for a lot longer are the ones that help grow, help become leaders, with that career progression to go, look, one day I want to get you to here. That they might keep somebody for 5 years, for 7 years, for 10 years, or it might be 12 months or 18 months. But I think if you can firstly instill belief in them that they're really good and give them the confidence they're going to be really good.
And you don't hold them back. If they're ready in 12, you let them go in 12.
But if you hold them back and they
don't hold them
and they leave, they were going to anyway. Whereas if you actually give them a bit of belief, confidence, and show them where you want to take them, then they're probably going to stay with you for longer.
Yeah.
Yep, I think quite similar. There's someone that's joining our team shortly, and he's at a competitor, and that's the exact reason we're leaving. I said, what's the reason for the change? And so I just want to kind of try this and do this, and he's got ambition, which is amazing, and they don't let him. So I think, again, if someone did that to me, I'd be very much looking on the way out. With Locke, he's amazing, and I think as you do this and time goes on, I mean, each deal's amazing. Like, it's thrilling. That's why we do it. We all like the deals, and it's fun, and it's thing. And still today, I enjoy each deal. But I think I get, if I pick a number, maybe 5 times more enjoyment seeing him do a deal. Like, he's still learning, and he's very, very good, like, otherwise I wouldn't let him do it. But to see him nurture it and go through the process, and maybe a buyer vanishes and he says, what do you do here? I said, what would you do here? And then see him go, and like, we're strategically battling it out together, and then seeing him pull off the deal, that to me is like, fuck, that's the best. So I love that now, maybe only because I've done it for a while. Like, it's still exciting me doing a deal, but to see him doing it is just, it's much more rewarding for me.
What do you think the average time frame should be for someone to stay under an agent before they transition to become an agent? I know it's all going to be different.
It doesn't sound like there is.
I reckon.
What do you think? Is there an average, do you think, though?
I'd say no.
No.
I like that John McGrath call. If you're good enough, you're old enough, like the associate thing. If they're good enough, you probably think different. And David's got structured plans here, which are pretty amazing. But that's my thought. Like,
do you think you have to have a database before you go off on your own?
Yes and no. You got to have. I guess you have to have market knowledge is number one, but the market needs to know you. So for me, it's not how long. It's if you can get to the point where you're in, and again, in our area, it's different in different areas.
Yeah.
But for our area, if you're an associate and you're bringing the lead agent 15 listings per year, that your lead agent would be confident that you would have listed them without you, then you're probably in a position where you can start making a plan to transition into becoming an agent.
Yeah.
if you're an associate who's giving 5 listings or 10 listings, or you're putting your lead agent in front of 5 to 10 a year that you probably don't have the confidence you would have been able to close, you're not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had people come into the business as associates within 12 months. They were already putting 10 listings in front of me. And I was like, you're ready to, you're good enough to become an agent.
Yeah.
And there's other people that might be 5 years into it and they're still not confident to go down to a listing and pitch by themselves and win the business. So they're obviously not ready. So it's horses for courses, and more about the individual, but also back to the whole thing about good salespeople becoming business owners. There's some really, really good associates that don't need to become sales agents as well. There's some associates in our industry who are making a lot more money than average agents.
True.
So you could be the top associate in the country, earning probably more than 80% of real estate agents.
My APR.
That's well said. Off the back of that, then, there's a saying: the quality of your thoughts kind of determine the quality of your life. Where are your thoughts at the moment? Obviously, you've now got the business expansion, building up, restarting with a new brand. Where are your both thoughts at the moment?
It's an interesting question. I think my thoughts, if that's how you put it, is not about overthinking it. Like what we do quite well. You know, we've got a new brand and lovely new people that complement what we do, which is nice. I think if I try and reinvent everything, it may work against us. So we're still the same person, the same work ethic. Well, I would say a better person, a better work ethic, but we're not trying to break it all down and restart again, because that might be detrimental. We'll employ more staff and create a bigger and better team around me, which I think is a good thing. But and then the thoughts are just, like David said when we talked about earlier, when you swim with better swimmers, we're hanging out with the most elite in the country now is how I feel. Well, we're not slowing down by any means. Now we'll naturally come up to the standard of the company.
Well, we've spoken about this on the past, on this podcast, about the 5 people you hang around the most is who you become. I see pictures of you. You're in Europe. You're with Alexander Phillips. You're with Ivan Bresic. Like these people are your actual friends. Yeah. How do you create a friend circle or a very close circle of friends that are at an elite level?
Well, mate, if you listen to the first podcast we did, he'd say every Wednesday morning you'd have coffee with his lead agent, a top agent.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. It's a great question. Hopefully I'm a likeable guy. I think like these guys are the best in the country. Yeah, I'm all right. But they're nice guys. Like I'm very close with Alex. He's one of my best friends, and Ivan I love, and there's heaps. Joe Bacani, David Eastway, these are all some of my top mates and top performers. So I think I'm the guy that isn't scared to reach out. Marcus Chiminello, very close with Marcus. We were overseas not long ago together. But they're just normal guys, and I don't know, they're I suppose from my point of view, from an inspirational point of view, I'm like, these are people I want to be like. I'll go have a coffee, and probably some we don't gel, some we do gel. I haven't known him long, and I already know we're going to be great mates and things, and I feel like that's already happening. So I don't know what it is, but it's, I suppose the first step's not being too afraid. Like I remember when I first met Alex for a coffee, I think it was 5 to 6 in Potts Point one morning, and I'm like, man, this guy's mad, but I'll go. And I went, and we connected, and then we just kept in touch, and we referred some business to each other. And Alex is a great referrer to our business, and a massive mentor, you know, and great friend.
So do you, for younger guys, do you drop your other friends?
I think you got to be very careful. Like you opened with the quote of you analyse the 5 closest friends you are, and that's who you'll be. Whether they're drug addicts, whether they're high income earners, whether they're great race car drivers. Like in my brain, this is it. Whether they're the best agents, you're not going to fall down, And I think it's really careful. I think as you get older, and Dave, I'm sure will agree, you want to have less friends but better friends. And you get less interested in impressive people or peer pressure, because there's heaps of that in our industry. I get it if you're a young person and you're getting high disposable income and you're playing out at clubs and that, it's a pretty slippery spot, and the industry's full of it. So I think it's just, I don't know, working what's important to you and I don't know where I'm going with it, but yeah.
Love that. Inside border, David. What if you were to come back to my question about the thoughts and your vision moving forward, where's that at the moment? And then also follow through with your peer group.
It was probably two-pronged answer to that. First thing, I come to work every day thinking, how can I be a better leader? How can I be more present? What can I do to help? And not get in the way, because sometimes people don't need anything from me as well. The second part, on a personal level, is I'm in competition with myself, nobody else.
Yeah.
So what can I do today to be better? Whether that's, have I trained in the gym? What have I done? Like, have I eaten well? Have I been a present father? Have I made my kids feel good? Have I been present with my wife? I'm in competition on a business level with myself. I'm in competition as a human with myself. Don't really look too much at what other people are doing, because you can get caught up a lot with that. So, and I think if you can get down to that point of going, well, how can I be better today, and really improve on who I was yesterday, you're always going to be one step ahead. Whereas I think too many people focus on what everyone else is doing and look at Instagram and go, wow, like that person's doing really well, or that person got that listing because they must have gone in at a low fee or whatever it is. I also have the mindset that I actually respect my competition and think they're really good at what they do, and rather than having this mentality of I hate my competition, and because by having a healthy respect for your competition, it actually forces you to remain good at what you do, and forces you to be better, and forces you to want to change and all those sorts of things. So whether that's in business or whether it's as a listing and selling agent. So that's kind of the way I think. It's always positive. It's always, don't dwell too much on the negative, because you can't. And just if you're going to have a bad moment, or you're upset or pissed off, you have your 10 seconds, you move on.
What about in terms of business growth? Like 10 million GCI on the table, 100 million GCI on the table as a business? Like how big are you going to go?
I honestly genuinely don't think about the numbers. It's nice to kind of be competing with some of the bigger and better businesses. There's not a number that I've got in my mind. It's about the people. It's about if we can find good people and be in the right spaces, we're going to keep going. Like, if we don't get the right people, we're not going to take them on. So if we get the right people, we'll keep growing.
Sounds like people, the driver is building a people business rather than an income business.
Absolutely.
Potentially.
Where does that come from? Because most agents are in here for the money. You're obviously here for money too, but you do genuinely care. Why? Where does that come from?
I think if you are in it for the right reasons, then the money comes. I'm not one to really look at bank accounts or look at what I have or care about what I have. I'm not really a materialistic type of person. For me, it's about the experience and the journey. So I enjoy what I do day to day, and I enjoy the people I hang around day to day. And with that comes success, because you're around good people. So, that's all I've ever focused on. I've just focused on one day after the next. Like we've been talking about with Eddy, like you book a really good holiday and know that there's something fun coming. Knowing that's so every time we get back home from a holiday, we book another one. We know that we've got something really exciting ahead.
Eddy, south of France, where's yours?
Oh, anywhere.
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, so my wife and I just went to Mykonos. So, but the year before we went to London, Paris with the kids. So we do 1 year on, 1 year off.
Nice.
But it's really anywhere with the people you love. Like, you can have the best time.
Cool.
So I just love experiencing new experiences, going to places I've never been. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Really good.
Been on some pretty shitty holidays that you look back on and go, that was great. Like, we had a great time.
We had a bad one.
But sometimes the bad ones can be the funniest. Or you go to places and you go, what are we doing here? So, if you're with the right people, you're gonna have a good time.
For sure.
That's really good. I got a lot out of that. Thank you.
My last question for you, in terms of consistency, if you're going to be moving areas and you want to keep, do you think it's possible to move areas where you're doing well and then go, like a Will Phillips, move to another area and instantly do well? Will Phillips is the only person I've seen do it. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's easy to do if you can do it? Put in the work ethic.
Absolutely. You pick Alexander Phillips up and put him in Warunga, and I'm in trouble. What we do is all copy paste. So if you give me somebody that's got work ethic, that's got the ability to build a team, that's got the ability to hold a conversation, and that's motivated and driven, that person's going to do well wherever they want to go. So it's and yes, there's probably some agents that if you put them in different market, they might not gel the way that their demeanor and the way that they put themselves across into that market might not gel with that marketplace. But I think ultimately most people that have the right attitude and can lead people will do really well as sales agents.
Do you reckon you can replicate a $2 million business within 1 year?
No doubt.
We've got Jesse here. We've just poached him actually from one of your competitors. Jesse's got a question for you. Jesse, go come on.
I'd say if you could narrow what like all the way up.
Yeah.
Shit.
Like,
Is it going to pick it up from here? Damn, hot seat. Okay. Hey boys, how you going? That was great, by the way. I would say if you could narrow it down to one career-defining change that someone could make, whether they're first year, second year, fifth year, 10th year in order to put them ahead of their competition, like one drastic change that would excel their business, what would you say that would be?
I would be sitting down and working out my why. Like, why am I actually doing this? What I want to achieve from it? And whether it's like non-money wise, you know, like am I doing it for my mum? Am I doing it because I need a hit X to do this? Like going really deep on it, you know, whether it's about I need to be number one because I want to feel like this. I think it's just working out the why. Because like I said, it's a fun business, but it's a very difficult business and it's not for everyone. And if you don't have an incredibly strong why, I don't know why you do it. Really, like there's a lot of other jobs out there. So I think it's really analysing, and then it's just having that thing. Once you find out the why of this is why I'm going to do it and this is what it's going to take, then it's just that vision of, well, I'm going to be here 8 hours a day. Do I play around on Instagram and talk to people, or do I actually do the work?
Yeah.
I think from what Ed said, that 100%, you need to know why you're doing something. But then if you want to then make a plan, what I think is important is to work out what you're not going to do. So when I say that, as agents, we get there and kid ourselves that we're going to prospect for the next 10 years, or we're going. So as a salesperson, I worked out really quickly what my enjoyment was listing and selling. I didn't enjoy prospecting, so I employed 2 people to prospect for me. So by doing that and employing 2 people to prospect, we met every morning at 8 o'clock. We worked out a plan of what they were going to prospect. I would then meet them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, see what they achieved, see what appraisals they'd gotten, worked out what appraisal I had to do the next day. And what I didn't realise at the time that it was doing, it was actually holding me accountable to them. Yeah. And so they were then putting leads in front of me. So I knew that I had to make my listing presentation so bloody good that I couldn't go back and tell them that they'd been prospecting for 3 days straight to find a listing and I'd lost it to a competitor. Yeah. So by employing people to do what I wasn't going to do actually meant that I had to become the best at what I do to not let them down. Yeah. And it meant that I was in the office at 8 o'clock because I had to meet with them. I had a meeting with them. I had to be in the office at 4 o'clock because we had a meeting. Yeah. So all of a sudden I was being held accountable to these people. So in turn growing a team, becoming a leader. And so, but it was purely from making the decision and realizing I wasn't going to prospect consistently and putting, I guess, my balls on the line to go, I'm going to pay these people a lot of money to do something that I wasn't going to do.
100%. I literally pretty much just did the exact same thing. So yeah.
And you recouped that cost year one?
I recouped that cost within 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
That's right.
Thank you. That was a great.
Thank you.
That was a great question.
What advice would you give to your current self now?
I think it's that. Like I said, don't sweat the small stuff. I think it's amazing how, with high levels of stress and pushing, we can amplify a situation where, like, what is it? Sometimes you go through things in life, like transitioning, okay, without going too deep into making a move. It's all positive, but you can really mentally overthink it effectively. And I'm sure we've got situations, even deals. Sometimes we'll be doing a deal thinking, oh my God, this is the hardest deal in the world. I don't know if I'm going to pull it off. No. And then a week later it's sold. You know, what the hell? And then other things in life, you know, you can, like moving from one business to another, I reckon I'm up every night analysing, thinking, how can I do this, how can I do that, what's going to happen, and all of this assessment, the listings, and then like we do it, it's fine, we move on. So I don't know, I think it's a hard one to answer, and it's the advice, I think it's that's what springs to mind.
Good answer.
Oh, great answer.
Okay.
What about you?
The advice I'd give to my younger self.
To your current self.
To my current self.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds morbid, but we're going to be dead one day. So go hard. Like, don't lead a mediocre life, because we all get the same opportunity. And I think a lot of people have chips on their shoulder and might hold on to stuff in the past, or might blame, you know, what happened to them a year ago, or blame what happened to them 20 years ago as an excuse to not go big. But things, as you get older, and I'm not old, like I'm still in my 30s, I'm turning 40 on the 1st of January, but as you get older, things happen around you that you realise that life's short, and things start happening, and you know, you might have seen a thing on social media that says if your 60-year-old self could go back 20 years, they would give up every single material thing they've got, every single dollar in their bank account to get back to where you are today. So when I'm 60, I would give everything in the world to get back to being 40. And so to any of you 20-year-olds out there, genuinely, I would give every single thing in my bank account to be 20 again. Like, really? Taking away the fact that with my wife and kids, like as long as I knew that was going to happen, you'd give it all up to be where you were 20 years ago, because the one thing you can never get back is time. So don't waste the time or the opportunity ahead of you. And that's why when we're talking about, are you in the right business or you're around the right people, you're going to look back in 5-10 years time and go, whatever I wanted to do or whatever I'm doing now, I should have done it sooner. Or if it's the holiday I wanted to take it. Like if it's the business you want to be in, just be in the business. Like don't wait, because you'll look back going, I should have done it sooner.
We're buying a Porsche.
Bro, I want to make a bet. I reckon, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of views that reel's going to get. That reel's going to go viral.
That was insane. A cracker podcast.
That was ridiculous.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mate, that's it.
Awesome.
Nothing else to ask. That was ridiculous.
You just crushed that. That was phenomenal.
You guys crushed.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
oh my
thanks.
God. Thank you so much.